This is Liberty Prime with Based Builders, and welcome to the Long Dark Starter Kit for noobs. The Long Dark is hard, y'all. I started as a complete noob, and I'm still a noob. But I have finally started to figure out some of the things that the veterans forget to tell us about in their tip videos, because they don't even notice that they're doing them anymore. They just do them out of sheer reflex by now. So, let's light this puppy up, shall we? And start developing some of those reflexes for ourselves. This series is about the things that every TLD player eventually figures out, but that a true noob just plain doesn't know yet. This might not help you survive your first encounter with a bear, but it will help you survive your first encounters with things like cold and thirst and a pitch dark room. And for you more experienced players in that room, please do let me know in the comments what you struggled to figure out when you first started. You might wind up seeing your expertise highlighted. At least once I figure out how to do whatever it is that you learned. So let's start at the true beginning. What should you do when you first hit play? This is the boring stuff that a lot of people just skim through. The settings. But the right settings can make the whole noob experience a lot easier to deal with, while you deal with all the other stuff that you'll need to deal with in-game. So let's start it all here. Options. The accessibility options aren't just for people with disabilities like me. They can also have a big impact on just plain playability for everybody. For example, how do you want to interact with things like opening doors? If you go with on hold, you have to hold down the left mouse button and wait around for things to happen. So personally, I prefer the click and press option, so I can just click on a door and go through it. But I warn you, even with the click and press option selected, you'll still have to wait around for plenty of things, like searching cabinets. When it comes to dampening the camera motions, the difference is a little bit hard to detect. Apparently, this effect kicks in mostly when you're standing still, although it's sometimes felt when you're just walking around as well. Without the dampening, the camera very slowly moves around without you telling it to. With this one, honestly, I haven't seen much difference in game, but in-game camera motions don't get to me. If you have a problem with motion sickness, though, you're definitely going to be safest leaving this one on. What gets me is when the camera does things without being asked, so I usually turn this on too. If you're not bothered either way, well, the camera movements are slow and subtle and do feel a bit more natural, so you might want to try turning it off. The subtitle size is an actual accessibility option. Choose whatever size fits you best, but I warn you, the bigger option seems very big to me personally.
I think I can use this. I'm not sure I can carry much more.
Now, on to struggle input type. Honestly, the only experience I've had with combat in this game so far is the experience I've had putting this video together. So I don't know tons about this one. Going by the description though, you might have better results with quick tapping. I didn't see much difference myself, but maybe that's just because my character doesn't have much experience either. It may make a lot more difference with an actual experienced character with actual skills. You can always go in and change this setting later on, so you might want to try both. Or start with press and hold and then switch your character over to quick tapping once both you and your character have a little bit more skill. Now, auto walk is purely personal preference and gameplay style. If you turn this option on, you'll have to activate it. On PC, the standard keybind for turning it on or off is Z. Auto walk is supposed to be auto-cancelled by WASD, but in reality, the only one that cancels it for me is S. So when you do want to turn it back off, S and Z may be your only options. Personally, this is a feature I leave off in most games because in a lot of games, the standard keybind is one that I hit accidentally a lot. But Z is relatively out of my way, so in this game, I leave it on. I just never seem to use it. Using it will probably make it a little bit easier to keep an eye on that wildlife, though. Honestly, I've never noticed an eating and drinking sound effects filter before on any other game. Doesn't mean it wasn't there, it just means that I didn't notice it. But hey, if those sounds do get to you, please take advantage of this one. The display settings are almost all going to be down to your system and your personal tastes. The one thing you might want to consider in terms of the actual game, though, is this: Timberwolf morale meter. If you decide to start out in an area with Timberwolves, this one will give you some useful information for sure. Basically, this meter tells you how likely the Timberwolves are to attack you. And I mean, if you want to be surprised, feel free to turn it off. But while you're still figuring things out, this is very useful. You can make them less likely to attack you by doing things like shooting at them or lighting a flare, anything that the Timberwolves consider threatening. And with the meter showing, you can FAFO a bit and figure out what works best for you. Although honestly, FAFO with Timberwolves will likely end very bloody. Again, the quality settings are pretty much all down to your own system. This is a pretty old game by now though, so most of your systems will be up to the task. You might be able to go with ultra on settings that you usually have to tone down. If you do have to be a bit careful, keep in mind that for almost all of these settings, turning them down a bit will be barely noticeable in-game. For example, even if you turn the footprints quality way down, you'll still be able to see them just fine. And you'll still be able to retrace your steps using them, which is a very handy feature. Now for the brightness, you might need to just resign yourself to popping into the options several times before you get it how you like it. Because on the screen where you're able to adjust it, you get a pretty misleading impression. As far as I can tell, the left side is showing what a room will, theoretically, look like in full noontime sun, and the right side shows it much later on or much earlier on in the day. But when it comes to what it looks like on this screen versus what you'll see in the game, it seems like things on this screen are artificially lighter. For my game, I wound up having to pump this one way up because noontime sun left my game looking like the right half of the screen. So don't be afraid to tweak this one as much as you need to. And remember, when you're in the options menu, you are paused within the game, so you're not missing anything, you're not losing out, you're not risking your life. However, if you do want to adjust the brightness settings in-game, you're going to have to save first, because you have to go back to the main menu if you want to tweak that setting. So choose your timing carefully. The audio is, of course, down to personal preference again. But I do want to draw your attention to one thing real quick here. The voice audio settings. As it turns out, and especially for new players, it's super handy to hear your character complain at you. You might be hungry or thirsty or overburdened or whatever, and just plain not notice it, until your character pops in and complains to you.
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
So I'd suggest keeping this one nice and audible. Oh, and it's worth noting that for some reason, the guy is much louder than the girl.
All this gear is slowing me down.
So you might need to adjust the levels with that part in mind as well. When it comes to controls, the biggest thing that I had to adjust was the mouse sensitivity. Outside of the game, I keep my mouse pretty sensitive. I have a 2-monitor setup and I want the mouse to keep up with my eyeballs as I switch which monitor I'm looking at. But the Long Dark seems to take whatever speed your mouse is actually set to and bump it way up. So you might want to err on the side of too low rather than too high. Now on this aim sensitivity thing though, I'm still undecided, mostly because I don't have too much experience with this one yet. But I do know that these really are two separate settings. The plain old mouse sensitivity is for normal things like walking around or picking up loot. But then when you're actually trying to aim at something with stones, rifles, revolvers, bow and arrow, whatever, this aim sensitivity setting takes over. So if you want to aim at things with reflex speed, leave it relatively high. If you want more precise, controlled aiming, leave it nice and low. But this one will just plain take practice for you to figure out what works best for you. So like with brightness, expect to revisit this setting a time or 12 as you're getting deeper into the game. The mouse smoothing setting is one that, frankly, I wish were stronger. That disability thing that I mentioned earlier, I have multiple sclerosis, and because of it, my right hand can be a little bit, twitchy sometimes. So when it comes to the effectiveness of this particular setting, I might not actually be the best judge because I need a little bit more than it's able to offer. But for the normal person though, what this offers might be more than plenty. Oh, and this lock mouse to screen thing, definitely personal preference, but I for one love having the option to unlock it. Again, 2 monitors, so I love being able to bounce back and forth whenever I need to. Your mileage most definitely may vary on this one. Now in this game, or any other game, being familiar with the key bindings can be your secret weapon. A lot of these bindings, like control to crouch or R to reload, are the same as in almost any other game. There are several that you probably won't be able to guess though, like how to open the radial menu. Don't rely on finding these out by accident as you play. Know them from the start. Here's a biggie, that radial menu I just mentioned. I did discover this one accidentally, because hitting spacebar to jump is pretty much second nature for me. Well, sadly there's no such thing as jumping in this game. And I mean, come on people, we've been jumping in video games for decades now. Why are there so many modern games where we're not allowed to? It took me a little while longer to figure out that I actually have to hold down the spacebar the whole time I'm interacting with it, and even longer still to figure out that, still holding that spacebar, there are sub-menus for these as well. But spacebar for radial menu aside, there's a few other useful keybinds to know. Tab, for example, is the quickest and easiest way to find out what time it is. It'll show you right up here in the top right corner. Mind you, I wish it showed a lot more information about that little tidbit, but it's better than nothing. This little dial moves from left to right, showing you how far into the day or the night you are. It also shows you the dials at the bottom left, letting you know how cold or tired or thirsty or hungry you are. Now, these shortcuts over here, yeah, they're handy, but you can get to them pretty intuitively by just pressing I for inventory, which technically leads you to your backpack. From this menu, you can easily get to your status, your clothing, your crafting, and so on. The map, though, hides someplace else. This is one of the many things that you can get to through that radial menu. But it is going to be a lot faster to just hit M, especially if all you want to do is just see the darn thing. Oh, and yes, I will be going into a lot more detail on both the radial menu and on mapping later on in this series. Oh, and the privacy settings, yeah, those you can't just skim over like we all always do. Although there was that one episode of South Park that always sticks in my head with that kind of thing. And there you have it, folks. You are now all set. Oh, except that, yeah, you might want to figure out what actual difficulty level you want to play at. We'll be going over that in the next video, so please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss it. And if any of this video has been helpful to you, or if you just plain enjoyed being reminded of your own start with the game, please do leave a like and share this puppy wherever you can. I'll see all y'alls in the next video. Bye.